This is SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco. Brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Now, your host, Shannon Gross.
I'm at the Star in Frisco. That can mean only one thing. It is time for Cowboys Crosstalk. I am Shannon Gross, sitting across from my counterpart on Hanging with the Boys that can be listened to Monday through Friday from, what time are we on, Nate Newton?
Between 12, 15, and 1:45.
Well,
that's all I know.
How about 12:30 to 1:15?
Oh, okay.
Okay,
bro,
there we
you
go.
asked me.
There,
I told you.
there we go.
I gave you a roundabout way.
I gave you a chance, and you butchered it, man. I gave you a shot.
I do what I can.
Well,
Sean.
Nate's in the studio with me
Yeah.
with the big plexiglass in between. It's good seeing your face again, Nate.
Wow. I didn't know I should went that time, but go ahead on. I'm
Okay.
You, Shannon. I'm sorry.
We are joined at 105.3 The Fan Studios by our good friend Kevin Hagelin. How you doing, Kevin?
Man, the Cowboys are still playing games that matter, so I'm doing good.
We all knew that in week 17, this is exactly how this would play out, right?
You called it a month ago. This is exactly what we thought.
3
Winning
months
streak,
ago.
here we go.
3 months ago, I called it.
Well,
Just
great.
kidding. And our very special guest tonight, I guess we can call you Coach Ellis. Greg Ellis, welcome to the show, Greg.
Man, thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me. Good to see you, Nate.
You know, Brother Ellis, man, it's just good to see intelligence, man. And I've always, you produce film, you're an entrepreneur. What made you think that you could be a head coach?
Hey, you know what, Nate? I can't give y'all the true facts because, Nate, let me tell you, that one got a real backstory behind it. And I can't give y'all that. We can't air that backstory. But, you know, I love football, man, but I didn't see myself being a head coach with each other, and thanking God they stayed up all night long doing that, watching for their first moment of freedom to come, and hence the term watch night.
Wow. So have you always had kind of a production background, or is that something you got into after football? How does one get into that?
Yeah, well, I got into it after football. My major was communications, the type of communications that I majored in. We had to take a lot of theater classes. And so I, discovered my love for it, but really didn't think I'd get the chance to use it. But Nate convinced Jerry to pay me enough money when I got drafted. When I get drafted, that after football was over, I could take the time and do some things that were more passion to me. May not necessarily have been money driven, but was more passion for me to do.
One more thing before we get Kevin involved here. Tell us about your family, because we've neglected him.
Yeah. I have, wife from high school. We dated in high school. Actually, guys, we just had our 25th anniversary, December the 21st. So that went over very well. We were blessed. We have 3 kids, a 20-year-old and 17 and a 11-year-old. So that's us in a nutshell.
Congratulations, man, on the anniversary. That's awesome.
I just got married in June. Do you have suggestions for me so that I can make it last, let alone make it last 25 years?
Yeah, shut up and sit in the corner.
Okay, all right.
Hey, if you do that, Nate, that's a good way to survive it.
Congratulations, Kev.
Thank you.
There you go, Kev. Congratulations, man. That's big.
It is.
Just understand, as my mom told me, you're not always right. She's not always right. It's giving and taking in a relationship. And, as long as you're the man, you got to do more to giving. It'll be all right. Give each other some space and just, establish those base ground line principles that you guys are going to conduct your marriage by. And that's, good luck.
Awesome advice. Thank you.
Yo, Shannon got married too. When you got married, Shannon?
Why you want to put me on the spot like that? You want a date or like
you thought he gonna get away.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, April.
Thank you.
April.
Okay.
Man, you don't want nobody to know you married.
Yeah, but I thought you were asking for a date and you put me on the spot and I'm like,
I tell you, man, I love you. I love all y'all, man. We all married.
Yeah.
And that makes us special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, we all believe in God, and that makes us extra special.
There you
so
go.
we doing good.
Well, this is an extra special show because this is our last one of the season.
For you, it is.
Wow.
So, are you taking over for me next week?
I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna show up every Monday, and if I had to be here by myself and just go to talking, I'm coming in there. I'm cross talking with something.
You telling me if Tom Brady's rolling into AT&T Stadium, we're not doing the show again next week?
You know, maybe y'all know something I don't, but I was told this was the last one.
Kev,
so
me
I
and you
don't
and
know.
me, Kev.
All right.
If y'all want to
let's
do
make
it,
happen.
hey, we can do our own thing. It doesn't have to be like the normal
Yeah.
thing. We can do our. We can just
we're
let the
already
cameras
getting
roll.
paid to be here, so
Yeah.
Well, Kevin,
Yeah.
before we take our first break, which will be pretty soon, I want to get your take on these Dallas Cowboys. Are you buying into this, or have they just beaten some bad teams that they should have beaten? Or is this thing starting to click and they starting to get some momentum and starting to roll? Where are you at on this thing?
I took some heat earlier today. I think I'm buying in, man. If you see the resiliency of this thing, there's a couple of other things that I really like. I don't know if he just had fresher legs or if he really has been banged up more severely than we thought the last month, but Zeke looked fantastic yesterday. And the offensive line, I'm not saying they're world beaters, but I think you have seen some improvement from them and that working in cooperation with Zeke, in addition to the passing offense that you already know about. I think that gives you some reason to be optimistic. I really do.
Nate, I know you're a big fan of these young guys on this offensive line, and you started that several weeks ago. What have you seen from the offensive line, and do they have something? Are they
just
building
consistency.
something?
With the offensive line, man, it's about consistency. It's about knowing where your help is coming from, knowing where you can give help. And this is where, because I've been knocking Kellen Moore, but this is where I think Kellen Moore, an offensive line coach, has become one and understanding what these guys can and cannot do. And these guys are maturing and they're playing together. Well, a lot of times you don't have to have great athletes to play offensive line. You just got to have everybody on the same page and willing to work as hard as they can to do the right thing.
Greg, I want to get to you, but I want to take a break first because we need to pay some bills so we can. They tend to cut us off before the time we're supposed to get cut off if we don't take breaks on time because then the money stops coming in and we all like money. So
and we want to keep this going.
We do want to keep this going. Me, Nate, and Kev are going to have a show next week, whether it's broadcast somewhere or not. So we got to keep this thing going. Greg, when we come back, I want to get your take on. It looks like the defense is starting to gel a little bit. Mm-hmm. They didn't have an off-season program. They didn't have training camp. I want to get your take on, does it take a while for a defense, especially when coaches can't get hands on you like they weren't able to this season? Your take on, could this thing really be starting to click and starting to gel? Because to the eyeball test, it looks like they're starting to get a little momentum. I want to talk to you about momentum and what that feels like when you start winning some games and stringing them together. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll get into that. We'll also talk about, the Cowboys might just wind up having a home playoff game at AT&T Stadium. We'll see what Kevin's thoughts are. We'll see what Nate's thoughts are. And we'll see what our very special guest, Greg Ellis' thoughts are on that. When we come back, you're listening to Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Back to SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Did you know that at SWBC they have customized solutions for individuals and businesses, and they're just a click away?
I mean, who doesn't know that? I listen to the show. I know what's up.
Okay. Well, if you didn't know that, you should visit swbc.com to learn more and start your next adventure. Don't do like Nate and do it in the middle of the show. Wait till the end of the show because you don't want to miss this because we have a very special guest on the show, Greg Ellis, Coach Greg Ellis at Texas College. Nate Newton in studio with me. I'm Shannon Gross. And Kevin Hagelin joining us from 105.3 The Fan, the flagship station of the Dallas Cowboys. And the question I have for you, Mr. Ellis, is can you hear me? I see you pointing at your mic, your earphones. I think we might have lost Greg for a second. So, Kevin, we'll switch over to you.
I'm prepared.
Defensively, this team has taken it in the shorts from fans and radio personalities and national media and everyone that you can think of. And the question that we posed today on our show was they've started getting this thing together. They've started kind of clicking. And, you know, I think it was Amari or Michael Gallup said they asked him what was the difference with him and Andy Dalton recently after the game. And he said the reps, getting the reps, knowing the guy, knowing the routes you like to run and things like that. Is this defense starting to come together because now they're spending more time together? They're all on the field at the same time. You've got some young guys that have gotten some reps and now kind of know the system and know the coaching. Is there any way that the defensive coordinator is here next year? That was the question that we kind of had on our show. Because I've kind of changed. I've changed, and I'm like, I'm under the. I think so. I think if they play good this week, you get into the playoffs, and even if you don't get into the playoffs, I think with them not having the offseason, with them not being able to practice together, with all the injuries, I am in the vast minority. I'm willing to bet that I would say let's give it another year and see where you're at. But a lot of people are probably going to be like, you don't have another year.
I actually think you might keep Mike Nolan, but not because of just the reasons that you said, but they talked a lot about not having a regular offseason and continuity. Mm-hmm. Well, it sure as heck sounds like you're about to lose your offensive coordinator. So I don't know if I believe they would switch out both coordinators for a team that ended the season theoretically on a 4-game win streak. So I think that's possible. The other thing is, I mean, we talked to Stephen Jones today. He said, it is really simple. You see the turnover deficit you were at when we were losing games at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. Now you see the turnover margin that you're at now that you're winning games, and it's really easy to connect the dots. So if you're able to tear or let Randy Gregory loose and he does anything like this, or the defensive backs are making plays, I think that'll help any coach keep his job.
All right. Greg, do we have you back?
Yeah, you got me back.
All right. Defensive-wise, you know, is there something to be said for these guys being in a new system, not being able to practice in the offseason, not being able to get in the same room, just Zoom calls and things like that? And now it looks like they're starting to put it together. They're having some good games. They're starting to gel a little bit. Is there something to be said for not spending time in the offseason? A lot of people say that's an excuse. Some people say that's a huge reason for why they've been so bad. How do you see that?
Well, you have to clarify and let people understand that it's not an excuse because you have a new scheme going in. Now, if they had the same defensive scheme, same defensive philosophy as last year, then I would agree with the fans. Well, it's just an excuse. But given the fact, you know, you get a new offensive coordinator, new defense coordinator, all the things are new. And so you have to understand you're going to need more time, preparation time. Because one thing I can say about defensively, on the defensive side of football, is that it's a high percentage of whether you're a success or not successful. Depends on how much you know. When I say that is, the more you know, the faster you can go. Pre-snap reads for me was key because it allowed me to not think, but just to move and react to stuff versus when I didn't know, it's like, okay, and you still intend to be full speed, but, you know, you're trying to diagnose and see, okay, what happens here, what happens this, and all of that kind of stuff, it just really slows you down. So what I see when I saw the Cowboys playing, I think yesterday, right? I saw a team flying around. And when you see guys flying around, it's either one or two things happen, right? They said the 4-letter word to some of the coaching stuff and just say, man, we got to go out here and we got to make plays. Or that they're feeling comfortable enough knowing what they're really supposed to be doing and able to just fly around and make plays. And that is contagious because even though we didn't get that turnover on that kickoff team, but you see more turnovers. You see guys flying around. You see them knocking the ball out of the other people's hands. And to me, that comes from when guys are just going out there and knowing what they're doing and playing reckless abandonment defensive football.
Nate, what's your take on the defense?
Hold on, excuse me.
Nate walked all the way across the room. No, actually, he forgot he didn't have his mic in front of him.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I tell you how wreck shows, Greg.
You got it.
I play with reckless abandonment, as you see.
Exactly. You did too.
I'm gonna tell you something. The only drawback I will ever have here is, and I told our guys this morning, is from this point on, I would like to know 100% that you're letting the scouts get the players. No more coaches getting the players. This ain't college where you do recruiting. This is, you got your position. Tell these coaches what you want. Tell these scouts what you want. Bring in those players. And don't allow for people like a Dontari Poe to be on your team. People that are satisfied, people that don't play hard. It infected this team. And it messed this team up, and it slowed down the curve of these guys wanting to learn. It's a difference, Greg. You notice when you want to learn and you want to get in there and you're willing to do what it takes, then you'll try new things. You did that with Coach Parcells. You are a competitor. You were a veteran guy, and you went from putting your hand on the ground to standing up outside and still having hell of a seasons. That's a veteran that wants to learn, willing to learn, and allowed that and trusted the coach. We didn't have that the first 10 games. We had a bunch of guys doing whatever they wanted. All of a sudden, guys started disappearing. Guys started not playing. Now we get guys out there. They may not be as talented, but they're willing to play and they're willing to hustle. They're willing to do what you say. Read their keys and fly off the ball. Give this man another chance.
Yeah,
Give this man another chance.
Greg, one thing this team has struggled with, not just this season, but previous seasons, is turnovers. And the last 3 or 4 games, it seems like they've figured it out. They say turnovers come in bunches. Is there coaching that goes into turnovers? I ask this question all the time when we have former players on here. What is it about turnovers that breed more turnovers?
It's the excitement. And like Nate said, it's really just flying around, knowing what you're doing. It's not just reckless, not knowing what you're doing, but flying around and getting guys to the football. To me, turnovers come when you get multiple guys in on the tackle, right? The turnover last night, the last turnover that we had, it was like 2 guys on them that was tackling them. So it comes in bunches. But to me, that's a direct response to you getting multiple guys to the football. When you get guys to the football, good things are going to happen. And turnovers is just one of the byproducts of getting a lot of guys to the football, hustling around and getting to the ball.
You know what have always amazed me about turnovers? And what I'm about to say is going to be crazy.
No way.
But almost 80% of the turnovers are a shock to the offensive guy that's turning the ball over. I'm serious, because he's been hit in a way that he wasn't expecting. A lot of guys, if they can see you or feel you, they got you. Look at all them turnovers last night. Just unexpected. Hands flying everywhere. Batting him. He ain't expecting this. And so now all of a sudden this guy becomes overly cautious. And that's the worst thing in the world. Ask Zeke. The first half of the season. That's the worst thing in the world. You don't know when you done fumble, what done happened. Now you don't know where these hits coming from because you're not aware. So these guys, if they can continue to run to this ball like Gregory did, like 3 forced fumbles, man.
Yeah.
This kid didn't know none of them was coming. Not Gregory, but I'm talking about the offensive guy. So, I mean, I know I sound crazy, but believe me when I tell you that.
You know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not completely crazy.
No, it's about
it makes sense, man. Again, I go back to the turnover on that kickoff. It is exactly what Nate just said. You remember our guy came from behind and hit him. The receiving guy who was running with the ball, he didn't expect anybody to come from behind and hit him. And so that's when you get those turnovers. Like I said, you get multiple guys to the football, and they prepare it. Boom, they see a guy and they get hit. Okay, but then all of a sudden somebody else comes in. They wasn't prepared for that.
No,
you know. So yeah, I agree with Nate 100%.
Kevin, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh,
who has been offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball? Who have been your standout players this second half of the season? Who has surprised you who stepped up that you really like? Wow, I like that guy on offense. I really like that guy on defense. Nate, think about it. We'll ask you to. Greg, we'll ask you to. Or you know what? We may just ask you a random question. Are you prepared for random questions?
Well, it depends on how random we get.
Okay, we'll find out.
Hey, don't forget, I don't get paid to do this like you guys do now, okay?
Yeah, we ain't gonna go too far with you, Coach. We ain't gonna go too far with you. We know you got to watch film on your own first.
Exactly.
All right, we will be back with Coach Greg Ellis. You're listening to Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Back to SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. We're about halfway through. Shannon Gross sitting alongside Nate Newton at the Star in Frisco. Kevin Hagelin holding it down at 105.3 The Fan Studios. And our very special guest, coach / producer / defensive end / dad / husband / sitting in front of a very nice bookcase. I mean, that's some quality wood that you're sitting in front of. I mean, that's good. Greg Ellis, how are you, Greg?
I'm great, man. Great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Great to have you. Kevin, who are your surprise guys or standout guys, however you want to take this? Give me one on offense and give me a little backstory on to why, and then give me one on defense.
I'm going to go with, on offense, I'm going to go with Connor McGovern. So Connor McGovern came along at a time when all you had...
Nate approves.
Yes. Okay, good. I mean, that's a good person to have a stamp of approval from on the offensive line. Is Connor McGovern came along at a time when a lot of people wondered, was that a wasted draft pick? Why is he not seeing the field? And also at a time when you were just losing offensive linemen, losing. So that came at a time where I thought it was immensely important to have an offensive lineman added to the mix instead of taken away from the mix. And I think that made a huge difference in helping stabilize the offensive line.
What about defensively?
Defensively, I'm going to say this is a surprise to me, and some people might not love this answer, but I've been tough on him because he gets paid a ton of money, is I think DeMarcus Lawrence and his level of consistency. He's still not getting like the splash plays that you hope for with a certain number of sacks given how much money he makes. But once again, it goes back to consistency. We've seen the flashes from Alden Smith early. We've seen the flashes from Randy Gregory late. But who can you depend on every single week on the defensive line to help try to slow down the run game that's been rough for us and get to the quarterback? I think it's been DeMarcus Lawrence.
Nate, give me a standout guy or surprise guy on offense that for you.
Coach Philbin, offensive line coach.
Okay.
Because I tell you, every week he puts guys out there, man. He tries to prepare them. He tries to get them going. And for the first time, for the last 4 weeks, he's been keeping Dalton Schultz, Andy Dalton up on his feet. And I like that, man. I don't know this guy personally. You probably can walk cross back behind here, and I probably wouldn't say, hey, that's Coach Philbin. I probably wouldn't even know him. But Coach Philbin has been doing a nice job.
For someone like me that has never played offensive line, except maybe in Flag 1 when I was in 4th grade, because, that's when we were all kind of the same size.
Right.
What can an offensive line coach bring to a position group? Like what you just think of offensive linemen as guys that just they block, they get their hands on guys, you got good footwork. What can make an offensive line coach contribute?
Work, technique. Knowing that your technique fits the majority of the guys that you're coaching. Being able to assess what guys can do within that technique and taking it a step further to the film study as a unit. Getting everybody buying into whether you're a zone scheme or a single blocking scheme or how you get up to the next level, getting everybody going in that way, and then doing the things in the practices and before practices to get you prepared for all of this. The little steps, the little punches with the hands, all of these things. And then to be able to relate to these guys, because you got the biggest and fattest normally and smartest guys, believe it or not, and smartest guys sitting in that room with you. So you got to get all of that, and you got to be a person to be able to look them in their face and man to man be able to tell them the truth, without humiliating them. Hey, y'all are not very good, and this is why. You're not very good, and this is why. But I got a plan that can help you if you want to be good in this league. And I think he's done that.
What about defensively? Who's a standout guy for you or a surprise guy?
The whole defense here lately, man. Because I promise you, man, I was ready to nail a coffin on all of them, every one of them. But I'm going to tell you, the striker is Donovan Wilson. That is the guy that brings all of the energy. He brings all of the enthusiasm.
Has been set the tone.
So that is my guy. Donovan Wilson, he sets the tone.
Help me with this.
He's an Aggie, I guess, because
that's right, A&M.
Nate, help me with this because I'm going to screw this up. We set this up for Greg for me. We've talked about coaches coming in and schemes, and you talked to Greg about going from having his hand in the dirt to standing up, and this coaching staff told us in the offseason, we're not going to run a particular scheme. We're gonna make the scheme fit the talent, not make the talent fit the scheme. And then we don't know what happened. Somewhere along the way, something happened. Right. Okay. Yeah. Talk to Greg for me about how hard that is if you don't have a certain scheme. Set that up for me.
I can't. Greg heard you, and he's a head coach. Greg, what happened? What happened, man?
Well, you got to have a sense of direction, and everybody has to be going in the same direction. And that sounds good, right? We're just going to work with the talent we have and all that kind of talk. I mean, I heard some talk about this early in the beginning of this season that, we're going to be a hybrid between 3-4 and 4-3. But everybody has to have a destination that they're going to. Everybody has to be on the same page about this thing in order for it to work. Same thing on the offensive side of the ball. Football is the greatest team sport, in my opinion, and everybody has to be going in the same direction. You want Al. You remember Al?
Yeah.
You want Al. Everybody. When I say Al, I'm talking about the guy at the Cowboys complex who cleaned it up. You want Al to be going in the same direction.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. You want Al and everybody else that's a part of the Dallas Cowboys to be going. And I mean that literally. Everybody has to be going in the same direction in order for that thing to work. And so you say stuff like, well, we're going to be a hybrid between a 3-4 and a 4-3. That sounds good, right? If we're playing, I guess, Madden, somehow that can work out. But when you're on the football field, and I'm not criticizing anybody, but when you're on the football field, man, everything has to be going in the same direction. And guys can't be in the middle of what I'm supposed to do. It has to be 100 miles per hour to allow you. I've heard coaches, good coaches, say we're going to throw some of these plays out because we need guys like Nate said. You got the scouts that get paid a good amount of money to find good football players, good talent football players. And so when you kind of confuse them and slow them down with some confusion in your scheme, then you're not really getting what you paid for. So we need to have stuff that everybody's going in the same direction. We don't need to try to figure out a whole bunch of stuff. And let's let this talent go do and show the world what we're paying for.
Kevin, realistically, what do you think the Cowboys' chances are of getting into the playoffs?
I would put it at 40%. My question, I think that's fair.
Why are you laughing, Nate?
I like how you said that. Do it again, Kevin.
I would say 40%. I believe in the Cowboys beating the Giants. I just worry that you saw the Cowboys and the Eagles in a game that essentially was a playoff game, and the Eagles got freaking wiped out. Now, I know there are certain players like Jalen Hurts and people like that who are going to be exceedingly motivated going into their game against Washington. I just wonder across the board if that team is motivated enough to beat Washington, which obviously you need to make it in.
And Washington's defensive line is no
good
joke.
God. Chase Young, let's go.
For guess what? That's in our division for the next 5, 6, 7.
Well, at least the next 2 years, because them tackles that started, they ain't gonna pay both them tackles, so we'll lose one of them in 2 years.
What do you think, Nate? What do you think? What are your odds at? How are you feeling about them making the playoffs?
Come on, now you know who you're talking to, right?
I know, but not everybody knows. Not everybody gets to do a show with you every day.
I'm gonna tell you this right here. Cowboys in.
Wow.
Cowboys in. And see, Kevin, Coach Ellis, even if they don't get in, even if Washington wins and they don't get in, they're in. Because I have accomplished what I needed to accomplish. I needed to do player evaluation I've seen them from a losing aspect. I want to see player evaluation from a winning aspect. You get two different players when you're winning and when you're losing. Now, the abilities don't change, but the mindset and the hustle does. So I'm getting to see a lot of guys that I had questions on. Is this a starter? Do I really got to go out in free agents and try to replace this guy, bring enough competition in here so he'll stay at this level? Or is he a 30 play or less guy? You got to see all of that. This coach has done a great job in handling this disaster, man. This was This was a bad storm blew through here for the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
They're in. I'm sorry.
They're in. Okay, we got a 40%. We've got a 100%. Where are you at on this thing, Greg?
Give me the quick scenario. I know if Cowboys win, tell me the scenario.
If they win and the Redskins win, the Redskins in.
The Washington football team.
Excuse me. I apologize.
Okay.
Stephen Jones says that every Monday, so you're fine. You're fine.
The football team in Washington, if they win, it's over. The Cowboys or the Giants don't get in. If the Cowboys win, they're in. If Washington loses.
Yeah. Okay, so Washington loses, Cowboys win, and Washington is playing Philly, y'all said?
Yes. And we played the Giants.
Smacked Philly last week.
Yeah, and where's the game at? Where's that game at? Washington and Philly? Where's that at?
I think it's in Philly.
Okay. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, okay. Well, like I said, if hopefully we just gotta hope that Philly can beat Washington, obviously. But I think if the fate is left up to Dallas to control their own by themselves, I gotta go with them. The way they have been playing lately. And the unique thing about it, I don't know what the history books look like on a team who struggled as much as the Cowboys have, going to the playoffs. And I think probably the last one was New York when they played when they beat us. I think I was still playing when they beat when they went on the road and won it. So I can see the Cowboys really, if they get in the playoffs, man, I'm not too surprised if they go pretty far in the playoffs, actually, if they can get in there. But we need Philadelphia to win. And I think the Cowboys are going to take care of their business.
The last two NFC teams to make the playoffs with a losing record both won in the wild card round. So just saying.
Who were those teams? The Giants and Carolina?
Oh, so that's right.
I think the Giants. Yeah, I think the Giants.
Because the Panthers, they thumped us too.
Yeah, the Panthers, I think, made it at 7-8-1, and I think the Seahawks might have made it at 7-9, and the Giants were just above 500 when they made it in.
Oh, okay. I screwed that one up.
Wow. Hey, well, you know what, man? I mean, I'm digging this cat, man, with the bald head now. I mean, he's bringing it.
10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every weekday on 105.3 The Fan. I'm just saying.
There you go. What's the name of y'all show, Kevin?
The K&C Masterpiece.
What's K&C stand for?
K for Kevin, C for Corey. So there you go.
Nate, did you know Corey, Kevin's partner on that show, was a Dallas Cowboys intern for Mickey Spagnola?
Wow. So, he worked for Mickey?
He did. Back in
survived my friend Mickey.
1932.
He survived my friend Mickey. Wow.
Mickey takes the credit some days and takes the blame other days for Corey. So it just kind of depends.
All right, let's take our last break. When we come back, we will finish up with Coach Greg Ellis, Kevin Hagelin, Nate Newton. I'm Shannon Gross. We have one more segment.
Apologize all Native Americans. It's the football team. Sorry.
I mean, Nate, how many years did you play?
Ever since I was a small kid, I've been
you played for them. It's kind of ingrained into your.
I'm telling you, every Monday,
like
Stephen Jones
Greg
says
Ellis,
it.
Does he really?
Randy Gregory off air.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. You're listening to Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Thank you, SWBC, for sponsoring the studio that Nate Newton and I, Shannon Gross, are broadcasting live in from the Star in Frisco. Greg Ellis broadcasting live from Tyler, Texas, and Kevin Hagelin broadcasting live from 105.3 The Fan Studio. Where are the studios at? They're in downtown, aren't they? Near downtown?
They're just off of downtown, off of Fitzhugh. And I got something to cheer you up, Nate. As somebody brought up, this is a great point. You felt bad about calling Washington their old name. Don't forget, John Gruden had a hat on a couple weeks ago for a city that he didn't even have his team in anymore with the Oakland Raiders. So, and he coaches the team. So I think you're fine. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, that's my second team, man, and we ain't faring well either.
Who's
the Raiders?
that?
That's my
That's your
favorite
second
team.
team?
And I can't. Wow, it's like all my teams. I'm like been abandoning them, bro, and go be a bandwagon dude.
Greg, who were you a fan of growing up? What teams did you like?
Of course, I like the Cowboys because, when I was in high school now, I don't want to tell my man's age, but, Nate, you was out there.
Right.
And so that was, Cowboys were winning championships. And so I think a lot of young, kids, they identified with the Cowboys and the swagger that team had. And so I definitely love the Cowboys. And I like the Giants, unfortunately, guys. I like the Giants. It was more because of Lawrence Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Back in the day. So I appreciate his what he brought to the game, appreciated his play. And so those are my kind of favorite two teams. Because, see, grew up in North Carolina, but I didn't grow up with the Panthers because the Panthers wasn't around yet as I was growing up. They came into existence like my senior year of high school, going into the All-Star game, and that's when they was putting the Panthers together. So they wasn't around.
Nate, did you ever play against LT?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It was an honor and a privilege and many a nightmare.
Is that right? Before, during, or after the game?
All three. All three. Brother, I'm going to tell you something. I used to hate when I had to have to dual read from the linebacker inside to him outside. If the linebacker inside came, I had to go back up in there. And Harry Carson was a Hall of Famer, hard knock guy from South Carolina State. So I wasn't going to win if I went back up in there. Mm-hmm. And then if he dropped out and Lawrence came, I had to go out there and deal with Lawrence already on the move coming.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I used to be like, when them games was over with and we done took that whooping because we couldn't beat them at first.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
This before Jimmy got here. And I was like, wow, man. All you could do, and Coach Landry, he knew the game so well that he called offenses and defenses. So you had to sit in film for like 4 hours and get talked about.
Who was the best guy you ever played against? Who gave you fits?
Jerome Brown. Jerome Brown.
Eagles?
Philadelphia Eagles, man. I almost quit, dog. After about my second, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to deal with Jerome. I told Tony Wise, he coached him in college at UM. Like, man, I don't like Jerome, bro. Yeah. What do you mean? I said, I don't like him. I mean, this dude only beats me up on Sundays. He went down to Florida and took my girlfriend. Come on, man. I don't like you, Jerome. Yeah, come on, man.
Greg, who used to give you fits when you played?
Man, this is sounding kind of cheesy, but I'll tell you what. The best guy I played against was the guy I practiced against every day, and that was Larry Allen.
Yes,
man.
sir.
Yeah, Larry. I remember, man, I was a rookie. Nate and the defensive line coach, they told me, they said, hey, Greg, just go in there and go speed to power. Kind of really, I was running directly to the guy, right? Man, I ran into Larry, and I did not move. And Nate started laughing. He said, yeah, you let them see you on that suicide mission.
How long did we stay together? A year?
Yeah, it probably. Yeah. I think it may be a year, maybe 2, Nate. I know it was at least a year though. Yeah. So, because you left. Yeah, it was a year because you left.
You know what's so amazing, man, is I remember that, man, and a lot of dudes tried that, man. And let me explain what speed to power means. you're outside of this guy, right? You're gonna try to make him stretch himself out. You're outside, or maybe in a wide 7 or 9. That's 2 players removed. You know, and so, but you're gonna run as fast as you can, off the ball, and turn and run slapping to this guy in the middle of it. It don't work against Larry Allen.
No,
it don't work.
So all the story,
because Larry will not only grab you and stop you, he'll headbutt you.
Yeah.
So all the stories are true,
laughing,
huh?
Man, I was like, wow, they got him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Larry Head was probably about biggest. My man's on the screen now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hurtful, I think.
I think he was talking about me, Kevin.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm talking about Kevin.
Hey.
We got a huge head.
I choose it as comparison to a Hall of Famer. I choose it as a compliment. I accept.
Oh. Well, Kevin, before we get to watch the night game on Sunday, the Cowboys have to take care of business up in New York. What do you think they have to do to secure the bag before they watch the night game and see how their fate plays out?
Believe it or not, I'll go back to the old Jason Garrett ism, is they have to win the turnover battle. Like, if you look at all the struggles they've had at the beginning of the season, and then you look at a lot of the success they've had the last month or so, it has been directly because of the turnover battle. Stephen Jones says it. Jason Garrett says it. There is no bigger predictor in the history of football of who will win the game than who wins the turnover margin. So I say it's as simple as that.
And how fitting is it, last game of the year, Jason Garrett holds the Cowboys' fate in his offensive coordinator hands.
And it makes sense, too, that Jason Garrett is the master of going down to the last game of the season before knowing if he's going to make the playoffs or not. So this makes sense.
Nate, what are your keys to the game for the Cowboys?
I'm with y'all. I'm with my man. I'm with
Is it that simple? Is
brother,
it that simple?
If you get 3 turnovers again, which is unheard of, 4 games in a row, come on, how do you lose that game? They can't cover our offense. That's over. Now, they got a nice defense. They're playing well defensively, but they cannot cover our receivers. I'm promising you they can't. And if we can keep them people off of the red rifle or rocket or whatever y'all call them, come on, man. This thing over. Go ahead on, Greg, man. What you think?
I agree. You know, based on how they've been playing, you know, getting the turnovers, if they can stay consistent with doing that, then I'm with everybody else. I think, you know, it's a cakewalk, if you would. But that's going to be a hard thing to do because, Nate, you know as well as I do, you know, the coaches up in New York are harping on protecting the football. So, so hopefully, you know, they can figure out how to continue to do that. And it's not much figuring out. It's just, hey, man. Don't panic. Don't tighten up. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep getting to this football. And we do that, then we'll win. I think we're a better team, but we have to do that.
Kevin, I don't want to mess up your show because you have a show to do all week. But is it too early in the week for you to give a prediction? Nothing.
He's a homer. No, he good.
No, you know what? This is where I'm going to fall in line. Is I'm going to say let's do this. The Cowboys win. They make the playoffs, and they're going to play Tampa Bay. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see Tom Brady crash and burn here in AT&T Stadium. Yes. So that is my bold prediction. The Cowboys make it in, and then they roll up against Tampa Bay.
There we go. Nate?
You know me. I'm rolling with Cavs all the way.
All the way?
Yeah.
And then when they win the Super Bowl, you're going to go on the world tour and take your Cowboys flag and
plant it in every city we lost in.
Nate's already got this figured out. You know what? This year it's going to be a lot of cities.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of cities. So, Greg, you rolling with the Cowboys?
Of course, man. I got to. I think it's a realistic choice. It realistically can happen. And so, yeah, I'm right there with them.
You know what? Let's make it unanimous. I'm going to go with the Cowboys as well. I honestly, I think, you know what? I think they're going to blow the Giants out. I think they're going to beat them by 3 scores. I don't know. I think they're gonna beat them by 17 or more. I think they're figuring this thing out.
I'm not saying all that, Shannon. Okay.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if it's 3 scores or more. I don't know if I wouldn't go that far, but yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, Kevin, it's been a pleasure. Good seeing you again, man. Come back anytime. Nate, it's always fun doing this show with you. I really enjoy it. Greg, it's been an honor to have the last show with you. We appreciate it. Good luck with Texas College. You have been listening to the Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!